What's going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to get you guys an update on all the projects that we've been working on in the shop. I know we haven't picked up the camera in a little while, so today I'm going to run through it and give you an update. First, we're going to start with this BRZ. Previous video we left off that we had a leaky slave cylinder on our clutch, so we ended up pulling that transmission out, and our seal rolled on itself right over here, you can tell. So that's where our hydraulic fluid was coming from. But after replacing that and bleeding it and bleeding it, the transmission is still hard to put in gear, and also it does not go in reverse. So as far as everything else goes, it does drive. You can slightly force it in the gear and it will go through all the gears, and as you drive I think it goes in easier. So there's still a problem with that, but the car is getting picked up the way it is now, and the customer is going to look into that. But besides that, we end up doing all the wiring in the engine bay, fixing the fuse box, making some bracketry, so on and so forth, relocating the battery to the trunk. So everything came out great, and it looks pretty nice. So I'm gonna go ahead and fire this car up for you right now, so you guys can hear it for one more time before it leaves. It's actually getting picked up today, and then we're gonna jump on to the next thing. And that was a cold start on this vehicle, so it is pretty loud, but this car is going to be going back to an A for time being, and then maybe eventually we'll go back to a turbocharger setup, so I'm not really sure. So as far as our work here is done, maybe we'll see it back, we'll see. Next thing, I do want to update you on our Genesis Hemi swap, so let's jump into this one. And if you guys have not caught up on the old episode of the BRZ, I'm going to link it right above me so you guys can click on it and check them out. So let's start on our Hemi swap. First thing I want to show you guys is the oil pan. Jake's been welding that thing up. Unfortunately, we did run out of gas the other day, so we got to pick some more up. But here's how the oil pan is coming out. Here's our extension tanks. You see some of it's still not welded up here up front. Most of it is. So it's actually looking pretty good, and I am excited to get that thing installed. It's going to be like so in the car. Back is all welded, just a little bit on the front, and then we should be putting that back in at some point. And we also have to shorten up the pickup, but that's not that big of a deal. And hopefully we're going to keep our fingers crossed. We're going to get that thing fired up here shortly. Alright, another thing we got done is, check this thing out. We swapped the Challenger's dash. Center console is not fitted yet, but the Challenger dash has been fitted with the doors and all. Now it's closing. There's going to be a little bit minor adjustment. You can see right there it kind of pushes against the dash, so got to take that out, but it fits perfectly. The other side is not rubbing. It's looking good all the way by the front windshield, everywhere. I mean, there's still trim pieces that need to be installed by the windshield, and what we did have to get rid of when we're fitting this is basically the whole front part of the dash. I'm going to show you right here. It's this part that goes along the windshield on the Challenger, and these longer cuts, those are the vents for your heat or the HVAC exits. So since we end up cutting that off, what I'm thinking is we're gonna remove the ones from the original dash and get them installed onto our Challenger dash inside. So there's gonna be a little bit more cutting on the front side to get that situated, but for the most part it looks very good in here. Actually looks sweet. So I just gotta get the center console fitted. The reason that it's not sitting flush is because when the manual was in here, we have this hump in the trainee tunnel, and with the shifter, the auto shifter box being so tall, it hits that hump right there. So I'm gonna have to cut it out and then put a flat sheet of metal on it and weld that thing up. So we'll go around the back and show you the other side. Here's the passenger side, looking pretty good. Like I said, the trim panels still need to be installed, but we'll do that on the final assembly. And our pillars, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the top part of the Genesis pillar panel and cut it, and then splice the Challenger and Genesis. So one's gonna be from the bottom for the dash side, and one's gonna be for the top of the headliner. So they both match, and then we're gonna rewrap them in the new black fabric. So whenever it fits, it's gonna be nice and tight. There's gonna be no huge gaps anywhere, and it's gonna look pretty crispy. Definitely came out like it was in here from factory. So I'm pretty happy about it. It's gonna solve actually a lot of issues as far as the instrument cluster shifting and all that stuff. Kind of eliminates repinning the old dash. Plus it looks way better with this one installed. Also been working on a lot of wire harness repinning, connectors, so on and so forth, in the trunk for the wheel speed sensors. We got our fuel pump actually wired up. We're still using a Genesis pump. Apparently this one was already upgraded to like 1,000 horsepower when he had a turbo motor in here with the previous owner. So once we get it fired up, we'll figure that out. If we have to switch the pump itself, that's no big deal. We can take care of that. But this thing's going to be going back together pretty quickly here. I think most of the engine bay work has been done now. Now we just got to yank it, install the new oil pan, and then we should be able to turn this thing over, make sure it fires up, and then take out the motor for the last time so we can paint the engine bay. So that is coming. Interior is coming along pretty well. That's going to be getting closed up here shortly, and then it's just going to be little odds and ends. Our drive shaft should be ready here maybe in a few weeks, so we should be getting that back. And then I don't know, going to be working on getting headlights, taillights repainted, installing the rear camera, stuff like that. So I think for the most part, the big majority of the work has already been done, and we're coming close to finishing this car up. So I'm pretty excited. But what I want to do today is actually work on my 350. It's sitting right over there. It needs a oil change, engine oil, and I want to check the spark plugs, make sure they're still looking good. And then my clutch fluid is pretty dirty in here, and I wanted to change that out because I think it's been shifting very strange. You can see I think it's black. So we're gonna go ahead and change that out, change engine oil, check out the spark plugs, make sure they're all good. Just do a bolt check on the bottom, make sure nothing is falling off. Alright boys, we got our car up on the rack. We got some oil, still running 5W30 full synthetic. We got ourselves a K&N filter and some clutch fluid or some hydraulic fluid. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this cap off right now. Let's take a look. Actually, I think I hit a raccoon or a dead animal somewhere. Oh yeah, you can see it right there. It's splattered everywhere. Oh man, it's got to get cleaned out. Brand new transmission. We got a dead animal on it. Oh, what a shame. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and pop this oil cap off, get the oil drained, and then I'm gonna crack my bleeder for my clutch and get that fluid changed out. It's been there for a little while, so it's pretty dark. So let's get to it. Alright boys, the oil has been drained. This is just a little bit stuff that came off, mostly just dirt. No metal particles on oil drain plug, so that's pretty good. I like it. So now I took the filter off. It's up in there. If you can see it right by those little oil cooler lines. Camera's not focusing. There you go. So I'm going to put new oil filter on. Old one's off. And then we're going to change out fluid on the clutch. Alright guys, I'm going to lower this car down just so I can keep an eye on the clutch level once it's up there. I got a little step ladder set up, so we're going to go ahead and lower it. I got the oil drain pan is under it. This is probably good right there somewhere. There we go. So we got our oil pans under it. I'm going to go ahead and crack it, and then that way we can keep an eye on our level. So as soon as we see how black this thing is? Look how dirty. So as soon as we see clear fluid coming from the bottom, we're gonna go ahead and shut it off. And we're not bleeding it, we're just changing it out because it's been in there for a while and it definitely has to go. Alright, we just got the fluid changed out. Looks pretty nice and clean. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this thing all the way down. We're going to add some engine oil into it. Fire it up so the filter can suck some in. And then we'll check it one more time. And then we're going to go ahead and pull out our spark plugs. Take a look. Make sure they're still all good. They've been there for also since probably the engine's been swapped like 3 years ago. No, maybe I've changed them once. So about a year on them. So we're gonna take a look. Pull this thing out real quick. Wipe it off. Yeah, let's take a look. So got a little bit over the 2 dot line. I'm gonna fire it up and then fill it whenever it's okay, while the oil is draining back into the oil pan, we're gonna pull these spark plugs out. Here is what our spark plugs look like. I think they're pretty uniform throughout, but I don't think they look bad at all for being there for a while. That's too bad I didn't pick up any new spark plugs. Maybe I should have, but maybe some other day I'll pick that up. But while we're here, I was just gonna show for the guys maybe that don't know, I do have R35 full packs that I chose to run in this car, and I believe these called Thorn Performance or Thorn Industries little plates that they make, low dry carbon. Looks pretty nice. So if you guys are looking for some, go check them out. So the spark plug looks good. I'm gonna put them back in now, and then we'll add a little bit more oil and get her off the rack. She's back on the ground. Let's close this hood and up topping off the oil. So we are all good now, and we're gonna fire this thing up and take it for a quick spin. Make sure the clutch is all good. Let it prime. Alright boys, here we go on the road now. We'll knock the lot. Let's see how this clutch feels. I don't think it's too bad. Sorry guys, the gimbal died, so this might not be such a smooth. Alright guys, we're pulling back. It didn't feel too bad. I thought it's a lot better than what it was. So the fluid definitely helped out, changing that thing out. Hey guys, we're back at the shop, and I do like the way the clutch feels now with the new fluid, so I'm pretty happy about that. We got the new oil in, and the spark plugs look good. I checked the gaps on them, they're all the same, so I'm pretty happy about that also. For now, that's going to be it for this car. I do have to make some AC lines. I know I've been talking about for a long time, but I think it's finally going to happen here shortly. We're going to be making some for this one and for our Scat Pack Genesis swap, so look out for that video. But this is going to be it guys. Please like, subscribe, check out our channel, go to our website, check out our merch, and I'm going to see you next time. Take it easy.